Hello, I'm Saisudeep Achanta, roll number 2501289, and I will be presenting a PPT on why the rupee is under siege and how do we navigate the current crisis. So let us actually start off by the historic 4% depreciation that was arrested recently by 40 billion central bank investment intervention. So we had actually 4% loss of value within a highly compressed 4-week window. So after we hit a draw of 94.83 was the right price of rupee current against $1. So we did arrest that and stabilized it to a 92.74, which was achieved on April 24, 2026. So what were the reasons for which, because of which we had to face this downfall of rupee? The first one was the energy crisis. Oil has reached $100 per barrel, and it was driven by the US-Iran conflict and the closure of Strait of Hormuz. There was also a capital flight, which meant a lot of FPIs pulled 1.1 lakh, 1.17 lakh crore out of India in March 2026 alone. And there was also a trade deficit. So the merchandise trade deficit expanded to 310.6 billion during the April to Feb period. The import reliance, yeah, structural crude import remained critically high at 88%, magnifying the price shocks. So let us compare it to the 2012 taper pattern. So there were internal domestic concerns, which were the fragile five, and this was caused by an external volatility issue. The depreciation then was 12.4%. However, this is only 4%, which is the worst in last 20 years. The central bank was just then was 290 billion in forex reserves, it is 688 billion right now. So the foundational shift that we have seen is a transition from internal structural instability to now observing the external geopolitical shocks. So the reasons of which the main higher fuel and fertilizer costs, the import shot up by 13.2%, and central bank's 6% tolerance band was threatened, and the merchandise import surged to 713.5 billion, heavily outstripping the merchandise exports, which were only 4.9 billion. So the services export hit an all-time boom, which was a thing for us and provided as a critical mission for the week. RBI reserves actively depleted by 40 billion. They had to supply market liquidity and prevent an actual free fall. So the other effects that it was given by long dollar positions alongside ban hedging in elements from. So we also watched the record, which was the structural defense, 5.5. We support continued economic growth while also being vigilant of inflation. So this is the roadmap that we will be looking at. Strict enforcement of forex position limit for commercial banks. So the net short of forward dollar position was estimated at 77 billion, creating a kind of futurism pressure. The RBI's net short for commercial is that an acceleration of Italy and target to permanently reduce the crude oil import bill. And then we'll also be looking at the expanding rupee settlement rate to 25 nations global past over. What we are highly exposed to right now. And straight to West Asian crisis forecast is mathematically guaranteed to persist as long as the oil is the $100 barrel. And what we could build in the future is Excel political will from dollar dependency, including the rupee settlement, insulated driven by structural self-reliance and expanded service. So it's not just a market event, but it could be a transition from dollar dependent into schools of that as well. That is what we are now. Thank you. That's for listening.